was an interesting way to start. Welcome to the Njoycast show.
Kicked in on stream.
Yeah. No, on
That's a
stream. You gotta do the
stream.
inflection.
I kicked in on stream sounds like a rap album, and I
From
I would know.
guys as white as us, yes.
Well, I would
Like,
know because I stock rap CDs every day at work, so
yeah.
I I see a lot of them, and and a lot of it is I like rap music, but there's so many more rappers than that just like their albums are titled these weird things like man get that down on fleek. I'm like, what?
What? Yeah.
I have no idea what the fuck you just said, but it was gangsta as shit.
Yeah.
So
So, you've been playing Dark Souls, and it's been interesting trying to watch your progress anyways. Picking on you because your first stream, it was because you're getting everything set up and you had to do your character creator or whatever. But I was like, oh, his Dark Souls stream is on YouTube. That's good because I've never up late enough to actually like watch it live.
yeah,
And the first like 20 minutes, you're like, yeah, so I want to play Dark Souls 2 because it's on my shelf and 3 and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just sitting there like, play the game, play the game, play the game, play
I
the
did
game.
not get the fuck off my back. I did not wait that long. Like there was
Well,
the intro cutscene which took fucking forever,
right.
and you're going through the character creator and stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be a little slow. Like, don't act like I just sat there and meandered. I had to intro it somehow. Jesus Christ.
I know, but I think it was just the
Oh,
mood I was in that night. I'm like, yeah, I want to watch some Dark Souls, and it's like
I'm sorry.
every
I'm
game.
sorry. I'll just play a game where I just like where there is no commentary and I just click, 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 click. You know, we can all do Heroes of the Storm streams. All right. I was trying to be a little more
That's all
ambitious.
action, but yeah, any big game like that where there's the intros and the character creators and stuff, it's awkward. But it was just funny. But
Yeah, and I was like trying to get like reacquainted with Dark Souls. Like I surprisingly, it is a bit of a jump going from Bloodborne back to one of those games. Like I'm surprised how little I remember of like the mechanics and the items of that game and stuff. And it was, you know what? Fuck you, Steve. It was nerve wracking. I was scared. Okay.
I think the part of, and maybe Dark Souls one, I don't know. It's been forever since I've played this, played that, whatever. The beginning when they're like introducing you to all the like the buttons and stuff, and it's like click L3 to run, and it's like okay, and then it's or hold L3 to run, and it's like click it to jump. I'm like that seems like the most awkward
Well, you
fucking.
hold circle to run and then you click
Oh,
L3.
okay. I
Like,
I hate clicking a thumbstick should not be a button. I hate that more than anything in the world.
yeah. I love that. That was my first death.
Just like
'Cause
ran off a cliff.
yeah, because I had no idea like what the timing for that was. I remember that happened in Dark Souls 1 also. Like I didn't know how to jump in that game for like half of it. Um and then it was like revealed like and then like you're like holy shit, that means I could go to all these different areas. Um but yeah, I just posted episode 4 of my Dark Souls 2 playthrough last night. Starting to get the hang of it, making sort of steady progress. I imagine it's fucking unbearable to watch. Like how nervous I am in every new area, and like I have to take my time on every little thing. But so far, it's been like 3 episodes in a row where I at least kill one boss. So steadily getting through it. Having people like last night, I actually had like multiple people who I didn't know watching my stream, and that was
Whoa.
weird. One of
I
them was like, I was like, I just beat a boss, and like it takes you to a new area, but it doesn't give you a bonfire right away. And I'm like, I'm debating whether to use a homeward bone to like go back to my last one, and he's like, no, no, don't. There's one like 2 feet from you. And I'm like, oh, thanks.
see that always helps, and it's but I'm always like conflicted because I never look that stuff up ahead of time because I feel like it's cheating. But I'm not gonna like tell people in my stream like don't tell me like what's coming up because whatever.
I'm not too worried about that because like it's Dark Souls and like I'm already lost enough as it is. Like there's a few things I have to go back. My next episode or two will probably be me going back to some previous areas to do some shit I missed. But that is something playing the game I'm kind of down on. Like Dark Souls 1, it's not bad, but like Dark Souls 1, I thought it was so good at interconnecting areas, and like it just sort of everything naturally clicked. Like you went down one path and then it would loop back around to like the hub area, and you would be like, oh shit, that's how it's all connected, and like everything just made sense about it. And Dark Souls 2 feels more like a fucking maze that I feel like I've been to like 5 different areas and they are all connected, but I don't really have that map in my head yet of how they're connected. Like I know the paths lead to certain places, but it's just kind of like the world is sort of conflated into like just it's a bit of a mess, I think, design wise. And I mean, it's a bit nitpicky, but that was one of my favorite things about Dark Souls was how well the level design was.
Yeah, in fact, I was just talking about that today. Somebody on Twitter was talking about how they feel like games like Destiny show that we can recreate that like super expansive, immersive, like sci-fi universe, but like is just doing that enough? Like, or are you still just running around with like beautiful vistas in the background, but the levels aren't really like adding anything
Yeah.
to it? And
Well,
and that's what I say. You know, Dark Souls, on the other hand, is I feel like the levels themselves, the way that they're, like you said, it was amazing how you would feel lost and confused and not like scared where to go, and then you, as you like eke your way around, then you find out like, oh wait, this is connected to that, but it fit. It wasn't like it was like, I mean, there were cases where you'd have to open a door that was locked, you know, from the other side, but for the most part, it was like it all just made sense as like a big living world, and each of the areas was designed well to like further the gameplay and even tell the story. A lot of the storytelling in Dark Souls was environmental. So
yeah. And I Dark Souls 2 still kind of retains that. It's just I think they tried to go even like I think they did the sequel thing where it's like let's make it even bigger, you know, and you know it leads to some mixed feelings on my part where it's like I'm kind of like even after I thoroughly get through an area and I beat every enemy in a particular part of the level, I still don't really feel like I got a clear idea of where I am or where I'm going. Um, and I think a lot of that is because a lot of the branches you take in like different paths, it always leads to like a dead end. And it's just there, like, it's just these huge areas that are just there for you to get an item. And then you have to go back. And I thought Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne did a really good job of all your items were going to be along that path for the most part. You know, there were a few branches off, but it never felt like there was never like a fork in the road, and you felt like, well, one of these directions is probably going to take me to the boss. The other one is going to be just as long, but it will probably get me like a soul of the undead or something. Um, and so far in Dark Souls 2, I feel like it's a bit daunting to navigate. Um, but I am enjoying it. It's I do kind of feel like this game throws a lot of the same fucking enemies at you. Especially after last night's episode where there were like these like giant I want to call them spiders, but they only had 4 legs, but they're fucking creepy and they hide in the dark, and there was like a place where there was like 10 of them, and they're one of those enemies you have to like break off from the pack. Like you have to take them on one at a time or you're fucked, which is pretty much every enemy I'm finding. um and like that's getting a little tiresome. Like just like there's a certain point where it's like, okay, I got the level down, like let me just get to the next part. I don't want to fight like another 3 of these same guys I just fought a million of. um but that's kind of the challenge, I guess, is, you know, keeping your patience in Dark Souls. That's always been the challenge. Something else this game does, which I think is kind of weird, is like the torch mechanic. um just sort of a questionable decision to me, where I was talking about this on the stream last night. Like I don't like that so many of the new areas are pitch black, and you have to go in with a torch and have to like light it all up and stuff. And like at least the game like keeps the torches lit after you do it, even if you die. So you only have to do that initial run through once where you're lighting everything. But it is just kind of like I just want to explore the area. Like I and it feels like it's broken up into this like, well, I got to find the next torch before I can do anything. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
and it's a shame because what was one of the cool things about Dark Souls 2 is with being on the new systems, it allowed for even like better crafted or better looking environments. Uh, I know when I only watched your first stream and it was like like your first one's broken up into two pieces. And there was
yeah.
like a lot of it where you're running through kind of cave areas and stuff, and I was a little disappointed, and it's like, oh, this just looks like beige or whatever. Then you came out to some little like village, and it was sunny, and there was grass around and stuff, and it was just as deadly. There was, I mean, at the beginning of the game, there was some like killer piglets or something that
Yeah.
it took like
Well,
an hour to kill,
that
but the area looked really cool, and it looked alive, and I don't know. I really liked that. So I'd like more of that than like dark caves and spelunking.
well, everything just sort of like you I in that first episode I went over to like the area with the giant knights and stuff, and that area is kind of cool, and I wasn't supposed to be there in that first episode, but I eventually went back there, and I beat that boss. I think the on my third episode. I'm calling them episodes, but really it's just like this was the fourth stream or
Right.
whatever. That's how I'm breaking it up. Um, so I beat that boss there, and then you like keep following the path, and it loops back around into another fucking cave, and it's kind of like I guess true to its name. It's a fucking dark game, and I'm like the whole time I'm wondering, should I turn the brightness up? Like, because I'm watching like the videos I'm posting, like this is kind of hard to see. Because part of that is because I had to lower the quality of the stream because Twitch wasn't saving my videos. I had a stream that lost like half of its content because it just saved like the first half of the stream. Um, so I had to go lower on that. So it gets a little choppy at areas. And then, yeah, it fuck Twitch. That's the point.
Yeah, screw you, platform that we're currently broadcasting on right at this particular moment.
Well, you should be better. Everything should be better.
Better.
And
Yeah, I mean, I
less
started right
stupid.
before the show bitching on Twitter about Skype, and that's what we're using as well. It's like, fuck you, free
Yeah.
program. But
Yeah, I wonder if there are any like things trying to compete with Skype right now.
I don't know. I would hope so. Skype's pissing me off because every time it's like, oh, I see you're trying to make a call, but let's update first. And all the updates are is like, we've added more ads to the screen.
Yeah,
So,
like how about an
thanks.
update that like makes my fucking call work? You
Right.
jack off.
But
Um, yeah. So Dark Souls 2, I am enjoying it. I am enjoying like my friend Sam. He's who's joined us on a few of these shows before in the chat. He was watching me and like he was pointing out like we were talking about it after my first stream and he was like, yeah, a lot of those enemies got moved for that version. I was surprised. Like, and that is something like until he mentioned it, I had forgotten about it. Like on the PS4 version, they added enemies in new spots and stuff. So in that first area, there's like two paths you can go down. A path to the boss, which I have eventually killed, and then there's another boss to the left. Like it's like this split, and in the regular game, you just go down that way, and the only thing getting in the way between you and the next boss is just another one of those giant knights. In this version, there's a fucking dragon where that giant knight is, and
that
I
seems
have no
fair.
idea what I'm going to do there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because you go up there and it immediately breathes fire on you. You die immediately, and the fucking enemies that are chasing me, they only get hit for like a sliver of health by the fire, and like that's annoying me. Like I think there should be more friendly fire in those games,
Yeah,
but that's just me.
That's one of the things that I've been playing, and I picked up Dragon's Dogma, the PC edition, because that just came out as Dark Arisen, so it comes with some of the DLC. And there's friendly fire in that game. It's great because you can grab enemies, and if they're like, that was one of the big selling points. Is like a big enemy you can grab on and climb, kind of like Shadow of the Colossus or something. I guess a lot of games do it now, but that was one of the cool things about it. But a smaller enemy, like another human, you can just like if you get behind him, you can grab him and hold him while your party like finishes him off. But if there's an archer shooting at you, it'll hit them instead. So that's kind of fun, especially when the AI is not particularly good. Sometimes warriors or whatever will come charging at you, and their own people will be hitting them in the like back of the head with their arrows. But it's it was interesting to me. Well, one of the questions I wanted to ask you about Dark Souls 2 is if you thought you would like it more if you had played it prior to Bloodborne.
Um, that's kind of. I think I still would have like a lot of my problems are not based so much off Bloodborne, but off of what I enjoyed about Dark Souls 1. Like the world and stuff. Like I'm thinking about Dark Souls, and I'm not really thinking about Bloodborne when I critique the game. Oddly enough, I think playing Bloodborne helped me for a lot of these fights. Because so far a lot of these fights involve dodging into the enemy's attacks and getting their back and hitting them a few times and then backing off and sort of repeating that process. And that's something like Bloodborne teaches you pretty quickly is like dodging away from stuff is sometimes you have to, but really you need to be aggressive and like get right up on bosses and stuff. And I'm noticing that comes up in Dark Souls. It's obviously it's not as fast paced, but I do think like I feel better prepared for Dark Souls 2, if anything, from playing Bloodborne. I don't think I would have liked it any more or less than like because I am enjoying it. Like that's the bitch I'm having right now is like I put on this criteria that I'm going to stream it every time I play it, but I can only stream at certain times in the day. And usually that means it's pretty late and I can't do it every day. But I want to keep playing Dark Souls 2. So it's this annoying conundrum of like, well, I want to keep playing that, but I can't until, fucking 11 p.m.
Right. So it'll be 3 or 4 years before you beat the game then.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that's the whole thing is I want to beat it before April.
Yeah.
so hopefully I gave myself enough time at the pace I'm going. Problem is like this has all the DLC and stuff in it too, and I'll have no idea what is DLC and what is the regular game because I never played the regular game.
See, I foresee it taking you right up until April, and then you not having a break between 2 and 3. Like that's
well, I also
they're the kind of games that benefit from a break.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I just played Bloodborne DLC in November.
Yeah.
So and like 1 month later, I'm like, all right, let's fucking play Dark Souls 2. I don't know. I've kind of gotten past that. I know other people would probably need a break, and I do on some level, but like I just love so much about how those games are designed, and it's amazing that how much I'm enjoying it for how certain I was that I wouldn't before you sent me my copy of Dark Souls.
Yeah, maybe I should send you more games because I obviously don't play
probably
them.
not. You'll send me some fucking weird MMO space thing that like the whole game's about like grabbing fucking space mushrooms.
I was thinking like a MOBA version of that pigeon dating simulator that Atlas published.
That's just helpful. And, I need the tips.
Yeah.
But I also what's gonna kind of I don't know because I still want to like keep up with current releases while I'm doing this and stuff. So maybe the pace I'm playing Dark Souls 2 is the right pace because I already have Mario and Luigi Paper Jam coming out on Friday, and I want to play that and review
And
it and shit.
XCOM 2 in February.
XCOM 2, which I even bought that Humble Bundle. I tweeted about that. Like, the Fair Access just put out like a Humble Bundle that has XCOM Enemy Unknown on it. And if you pay more than the average, you get Enemy Within, which I never played, which is how I justified it to myself. But I just, I loved XCOM so much. And I know XCOM 2 is coming out, and I'm never going to like play XCOM 1, at least for like another year. But I'm weak. What can you
I
say?
was like the opposite. That was a really, really good bundle, but it's like I already had everything on it at one point or another. And so I couldn't bring myself to like buy them again. But
Yeah, I never played Civilization, any of them. And like there was some other stuff on that where it's like, yeah, that's kind of neat. I'll at least take a look at that, and I know XCOM is excellent, so and like it'll be handy not to have to like hook up my 360 to play that game again. I can just go to my computer and
well,
get
and
going.
and if yours can do it, XCOM's kind of a fun game to stream. But which is weird because you can't say that about pretty much any other strategy game. But
Yeah,
and I guess there is a
I
lot of the like
noticed this.
base building and the research and stuff that would get a little tedious to watch. But
Yeah. Well, I noticed this like on Giant Bomb, they did a quick look with the developers for XCOM 2, and it like even though I know XCOM is good, like all the old feelings I had before playing it came flooding back. Where like it looks when watching other people play that game, like in the menus and stuff, like it looks so impenetrable to me. Like it just looks like a mess of fucking menus that I'm never gonna understand. And then like it's so surprising to me like how naturally the first game felt like once you get into it, once you're the one playing it.
well, if you ever play
Um
the originals, because they're around, they're on Steam. They weren't accessible. I mean, there was a lot more resource management. One of the cool things that I miss was that like you had to gather resources, but if you were in a mission and it went horribly, horribly wrong, you could like grab the dead bodies of your like teammates and haul them back to your ship and take off, and you'd at least get like it wasn't like in the new XCOM you have to complete the mission and then you get I don't want to say arbitrary, but there's like a set amount of like you got this much metal and this much like laser rifle. Like you would literally have to kill an alien and you could loot its body and take whatever it had. And so if there was a really daunting mission or when you knew you're outgunned, it was perfectly acceptable to like try just to kill an alien or two just to steal their like weaponry and get back to your ship so you can go research it. And I kind of miss
right.
that, but I mean that meant there was way more micromanagement of stuff. They did a great job streamlining,
Streamlining.
lemon and liming it. You know,
They just did a great job with citrus in general.
yeah, pretty much. It gave it this nice crisp taste. Streamlining the gameplay for a more modern audience and for a wider, a broader audience. Yet I was
Better
shocked
audience.
to kind of find out that still didn't really do that well on console.
Yeah.
You console
And
jerks.
like I'm hoping with XCOM 2, like it will be one of those things where eventually they'll make like a console release. But because I'm just like, even though I think I can play it and I think I'll be all right, like I feel like XCOM 1 was such an epiphany for me. And then like the fact that like if I had not gotten this computer as a gift, like I would never like you would get that one taste and then like the fucking game would be
Yeah.
gone forever because they went on to just work on PC.
Well, plus if it comes out for
Um,
console where you work now, it would be great because somebody could come up and be like, "Where's Call of Duty?" and you pick up XCOM and just like hit them in the face with it a couple times. Like, take this, buy this instead.
slap. Yeah, I always push my opinions on customers.
You
That's
should.
what they pay me to do.
Right. You're
like people at a retail environment about video games, they ask you really weird questions that like you like. I, you can't not be kind of a snob in your own head when you're asked like, is there a Zelda game on the 360? No.
no.
They're like, what?
You should say, well,
It's
it's not.
Nintendo.
It's not out yet. Yeah.
Like, do you have Halo on the Wii? No. Like, do you? Are there really people like you that don't think about video games with every fucking second of their day?
Right.
Like,
But I'm the kind of jerk that would, like, on the one hand, I'd completely understand, but on the other, I would plant that false information just so that they go back to their friends and be like, oh, yeah, did you know that, like, Zelda's coming out for the Xbox One in April? And, there'd be the one friend, like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, 'cause friends are more like apt to call out friends on that stuff. But,
well, yeah, friends you can be harsh with
Right.
about anything. And that's the mark of a good friendship, when you can be like, you fucking idiot, and nobody takes it personal.
But just make sure you don't use Njoycast in your credentials. Like, yeah, I know because I write for Njoycast, because then they'll be like, oh, this website says so.
No, I always, like, if people ask me about games or something, like, it's come up a few times, I always just vaguely say, oh, you're like, yeah, I reviewed Batman Arkham Knight or whatever. I'm like, oh. But I never said for who.
Yeah. Well, if you
don't want to get traffic.
If you say
I don't
it
want people
fast enough, they think you're talking about joystick, and that
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times my wife's come home and been like, "Oh yeah, I was talking about the website, and so and so is like, oh man, I've heard of that," and I'm like, no, they haven't. I'm like, I know the site that they've heard of. It's not this one.
Yeah, they've heard of. Yeah.
We've got all the confidence of a politician.
But to be fair, with them being dead, now we're the last joystick
I
standing.
know we outlasted them. Sure, we started like
'cause
15 years after they did, but
Turns out it's better for your website to not be profitable at all and only have 2 people writing for it at any given time.
if you don't
And
depend on making
instead of being connected to AOL.
yeah, well, I think being an Iranian prisoner of war camp is better than being connected to AOL, but
Being connected to AOL is being an Iranian prison.
it's true. So yeah, so you'll have that. You've been playing anything else in the meantime, or just focusing on Dark Souls until?
Yesterday I started playing Quantum Conundrum kind of on a whim because I wanted to play Dark Souls but couldn't yet. And if you don't remember, Quantum Conundrum was this Portal-like game. It came out like one of the main writers for Portal, I think, worked on it.
Yeah, I forget.
And
I can't
Square
think of her
published
name
it.
right now, but I think she was
Yeah.
responsible for a lot of the writing in the first Portal, and so everybody
Yeah.
was excited about that. But
Yeah. So I've been playing that, and it's kind of that same framework of going room to room, solving puzzles and stuff. And the puzzles are all based around you changing the dimensions to make various boxes and objects either really light or really heavy so far. I don't know what else they'll add. There's like 2 buttons they haven't.
yeah, I was gonna
Gone
say I think
into
there's
it.
4 total dimensions plus like the regular world, but
Yeah. And it's kind of a light game to play. It doesn't, like, the writing isn't sharp like Portals was. Like the character who kind of does your narration stuff through it, he's not really, like, I'm kind of waiting for him to tell a joke. Like, he doesn't really. But the game does have its charming stuff. There's a little alien monster that just randomly appears, and that's adorable. As he's fucking with shit, and the guy gets kind of angry at him, like, put that down, and then he just blows it up or something. But it's all right. I don't remember what I got it from. I know it had to be like a Humble Bundle at some point, and it was just on my Steam list. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it. Kind of am seeing what people were thinking when it came out. Like, this is not This is definitely, being in the shadow of Portal is a hard place to be
That's what I was
for a
going to say. I
game.
think the expectations, like, I never played. We did a hands-on in an interview of it at PAX, like the first one we were at, I think, might have been the second one, but um,
Yeah.
so I played it there. I never played the actual release, but even then, it felt like it knew what it was had to live up to, given that, like, I mean, it was very much marketed from the writer, one of the writers behind Portal, and it had that same, not only, and it's not wrong to market that way, but not only was it that, but it also, like you said, it has that similar like type of gameplay and the similar like, oh, it's going to be based with a humorous like narration thing, and I think it both the expectations seem to both kind of crush the development of it, and then also from the fans, like because there was nothing obnoxiously bad about the game.
There is one thing I think it relies on more than Portal did from a gameplay standpoint that really hurts it, and its style of first person platforming is really like like Portal kind of, and especially in Portal 2, it kind of automated a lot of stuff. So like when you propelled out through a portal and launched yourself across the room, kind of you got the sense like the game was not gonna let you like fly off into a wall or something and fuck you up and make you redo it. Um, and in this game, it's a little more, you have to be more precise. It's a little more old school and a little more frustrating. Like, because a lot of it, so much of it is taking these boxes from one dimension, put them in a new dimension in a new spot, and hopping across them. And it's not a very smooth process because it's that first person platforming where you're just like, all right, one jump, fuck, overshot it. And it's
Yeah,
also the type of game where all the puzzles feel like I'm solving the puzzles really quick, but executing them is taking a while because
yeah,
of that. Because like everything has to like, all right, I know how to do this, but will the physics let me this
yeah.
time? It's kind of it's a nitpick for sure, but it's still something that I'm like playing and I'm like, God damn it, I know how to do this. Just let me do it. It's not one of those games where there's like a million solutions to puzzles. There's one way to do all this shit, and once you figure it out, it's annoying to execute it, which is kind of the opposite of Portal, which is like once you found it out, it was really fun to execute it. But overall, it's not bad. It's not a bad game at all. Fun, nice little light diversion when you're playing something like Dark Souls, which stresses you out every 10 steps you take.
It's nice to have that more relax. I don't know. I don't have a relaxing game, but I still Rocket League right now is still my like just hop into and play
Yeah.
game. Although I
Well,
did that,
Rocket League is a lighter game,
yeah, yeah. Although it's frustrating,
but you get more stressed out.
yeah. I Today was one of those rare days. Normally, I say we're gonna start at 6, and then it's like 5:55, and I'm like, fuck, I still got some like stuff to do. I was ready for the podcast at like 5:30, and I'm like, I'm do half hour to kill, and so I finally hit me. I'm like, I'm gonna jump into some Rocket League, and I was like screaming at it both times because the one time it was amazing. It was like we hopped in. The other team was a little bit better than us, but it was close enough that we were losing 2-1 at the end, and like there was a scramble against the far wall, like by our goal, and I hit the puck and it went bouncing awkwardly out, and like to my amazement, it's sliding right towards the goal, but relatively slowly. The only good thing was every single player was back behind it, but at the same time the timer's counting down. So I'm sitting here watching this thing. I'm out of turbo, so I can't catch up to it. I'm just kind of driving along behind it, and I'm watching it count down. 3, 2, 1, and the thing just slides across the line like in that pause between 1 and 0 to take us into
Uh-huh.
overtime. And it was the greatest. I'm sitting here like, fuck yeah, like everybody's like, wow, blah blah blah, and then so we kick off in overtime, and the asshole that started back by the goal just veered off to the side to go get the turbo thing, and they hit the puck, and it's same thing. It just like lazily went in because nobody fucking stayed back to defend, and we lost within a second of overtime, and I was so fucking pissed. Like, the key is if you're the one that starts in goal, especially in snow day, fucking stay there for a second to make sure the ball or puck's not coming right at you. But
Yeah.
I was so mad because I had just had this like most epic team saving, tie it up at the buzzer goal, and then they just let it go like straight in. And it's like, what the fuck?
Well, that's given me flashbacks to basketball the other day, where the Clippers blew like a 16-point lead and like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then just destroyed the Rockets in overtime. But they still blew that lead. I was like, motherfuckers. Yeah, that's always Rocket League has just like some of the best moments.
Best
I
and
think of
worst all
last year
combined.
for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
just like the adrenaline.
but that's not
You
really.
feel.
I mentioned I've been playing Dragon's Dogma. It's something I talked about it on Twitter. Um, it's I picked it up like 2 years ago when it was for free on PS Plus. You know, the free games thing. So it was before
Yeah.
Dark Arisen came out, and I tried to play it on that. And between the me not playing my PlayStation much, and just it's a really kind of awkward game, and it's really difficult, and I just never got into it. It's like I wanted to, and there was parts about it I liked, but I just couldn't play it. And then because I'm an idiot, like the closer it got to coming out on PC, the more excited I'd get for it. Plus, I've had so many people, like whenever I talked about how I didn't like Dragon's Dogma, say that they loved it. So I decided when it came out, it's $30 for the Dark Arisen, so it has the DLC, and I was like, I'm gonna grab it and give it another shot. And so far, I am liking it much better the second go around. Uh, the one,
They did, I heard, add a lot of little tweaks to improve that game for a lot of people who weren't sold on it the first time. Like I heard it's not a game where you can just fast travel all the time, but they added it so you can get back to towns and stuff a lot easier than it was in the original game, which sounds like a big one for a lot of people, was the fact that the game was so big and you had to run across it all to get back to where you were going.
yeah. Well, and the other thing with it that for a lot of people, it's one of those. It's very difficult, and I know I'm playing on easy, and it still doesn't hold any punches or pull any punches. Whatever. I can't fucking talk tonight.
Hold a punch.
Hold a punch. Yeah, I'll take that. And if you get to an area that you're not leveled for, I mean, they'll kick your ass in like 2 seconds. The combat's kind of it's different. Like I'm playing as the fighter, which is like just your warrior like knight archetype. But there's a block button where you just hold your shield up, and if you time it, it has that like kind of parry mechanic where if you can time it right as you're getting hit, you'll knock them back as long as your stats and your shield are good enough to absorb the particular blow from that particular enemy. But there's no like dodge button, there's no lock on button, so you can't strafe around people. It's a lot like Witcher in the regards that for a lot of the times you feel like you're just like drunkenly flailing every which way as things attack you from every direction. That takes some getting used to. But with the difficulty, it can be a big turnoff because you'll have like any given point like 8 different quests, and out of those 8, maybe 6 of them you're not nearly equipped enough to handle. So a lot of it's going around like, I'm going to try this quest. You're like, nope. Well, I'm going to try this one. Nope. And the other thing with it that's got me a little worried for the long term, because I haven't played it that much. I want to say I'm like 5 or 6 hours in, maybe. In fact, I've got Steam up, so while I'm talking, I'll check. But you travel around with a party of 4, but it's yourself and 3. They're called pawns, and they're all they're AI controlled. It's kind of neat from the fact that you have one main pawn that you get to design just like yourself. So you choose how they look, their name, their class. As you play through the game, you choose what skills they learn as they level up. You can equip them with stuff you find or craft, and then you can recruit up to 2 more pawns. And the pool that you recruit from, if you're playing in online mode, are other people, copies of other people's pawns. Every time you rested it in, it uploads your pawn's information to like the servers, and somebody can use your pawn in their game and you're using other people's pawns, and there's some other connectivity stuff like that where you can gift items and stuff. So that's kind of cool, but at the end of the day, that means the whole game you're in group fights with 3 AI people. So you got to, I just can only hope that the AI is good enough to sustain that, because I think we've all played RPGs where you don't have control over your teammates, or at least not direct control, and they're fucking stupid.
Right.
I know my mage, which doubles as a healing class. That's my main pawn. And there was one particularly tough fight that I was having problems with. And at one point, I initiate the encounter as the warrior, and she goes like running past our whole group, like behind a group of enemies, and like positions herself there. So she's by herself with nothing but enemies between her and us. It's like, why the fuck would you move there? So that can. I'm afraid that as the game gets harder, that might get more frustrating. What? Oh, let's see what's going on. I was trying to look. I was on my download manager, but for the most part, I'm really enjoying it. And it's got a lot of the things that I like about those open worldish RPGs. Inventory management. From what I've read, like crafting things takes an ass load of what appears to be like junk items. So like every little thing you find, you should keep, but you can be over encumbered, and that kind of worries me as well, because it's not fun. I don't know why developers haven't realized that. Like, nobody wants to sit and spend half their game time managing inventory.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that's something I am kind of appreciating about Dark Souls 2, is that there is a weight system, obviously, but
Yeah.
like you can carry whatever the hell you need, but what your character has equipped affects you physically. And I think that's kind of a good way of going about it, where you kind of have to prioritize, do you want to have, a bunch of armor on, and, you'll take less damage, but you won't be able to move as much. So you might end up actually taking more depending on how you play.
I remember not the first, when I finally like really got into Dark Souls, even though I never beat it. That was one of the biggest things, is I always wanted the big shield and the heavy armor so that you could absorb blows or whatever. And you find out it's actually a lot easier to play, at least Dark Souls 1, without.
I spent
like I think I spent a lot of it in just like clothes, because
I spent half of it completely fucking naked.
Yeah,
because you're fast, man,
and your rolls
and I've always been of the
yeah.
Yeah, I've always been just of the opinion that, like, if these monsters start hitting you, you're fucked anyway. Like, with armor, you're still going to have to back off and heal. Same thing if you don't have clothes, so you might as well be faster so you're harder to hit. I'm not doing that in this one. I am wearing armor, but I'm keeping it really light. And anything that like gets me over that 50% mark, like I won't do it. I won't wear it. But I think that's a good way to deal with like encumbrance stuff. That's something I don't, like I'm kind of tired of in like Bethesda games, is like games that just throw a bunch of equipment and shit at you, but then punishes you for picking it up. Where it's like, and it's not even like a real punishment. It's just sort of like, okay, I got to go into my menu, and what's not very valuable but taking up a lot of space. Okay, drop that. Then go to a town and sell all the shit that I just picked up, even though I'm still in the middle of a quest. And like, it's just fucking annoying. Like either have an encumbrance system where there's like an actual like mechanic and like stake involved, or don't have that mechanic, or at least make it such a thing that like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be able to hold like 20 broadswords, but maybe maybe I can hold 5 without like wanting to die. My character just like slung over his shoulder like, oh no.
You just reminded me. I don't watch the show that much, but I guess there was because I saw it, Mythbusters episode where they were looking at Doom, and the myth was about being able to carry all those weapons and stuff, and they set up like a myth. I know that's what was funny about it. It's like, because Tara was watching it, and I said something. I'm like, it's not like gamers actually think that that's realistic that you can pick up like 500, weapons. In fact, we make fun of it all the time. But it was hilarious to watch somebody set that up and like actually like, because they recreated like a level from Doom, and they put all these things that the guys would have to take turns going through the course and like carrying all this stuff, and it was hilarious to watch. And it kind of makes
Yeah.
me want somebody to
Well,
make a game that's actually like that. Like you can carry as much as you want, but it physically shows up on your character and makes you clumsy and heavy, and like eventually you just fall over and can't get up.
like, what if like it's a shooter, all right? So you have all these guns, but you know how like a radial menu would pop up these days? Like,
All right.
what if instead it was like each icon for the gun stacked on top of it each other? So you had to like go through this entire stack
Stack.
to like find the gun that you wanted, because that's how it would be.
Yeah, the slings are all
Um,
tangled up, and you have to pause and like untangle the.
yeah, yeah, like that would be kind of an interesting. Like that sounds like something that would show up on like a small little Steam game. Is just like,
Young horses.
the more like a game that just throws a bunch of guns at you, but you pay for it because
Right.
when you switch guns, like you'll
Yeah.
never pull it off.
I could see the Octodad team, the Young Horses. I think it's the developer's name. Something
It's
like
kind of
that.
like that Sonic the Hedgehog ROM hack where every time you eat a ring, Sonic gets fatter, and then like once you eat enough rings, he can't move, and it'll just be game over.
See, we need more games like that. That's why things like just the indie scene right now being what it is. That's why it's good because we get to see stupid stuff. But
Yeah.
speaking of the indie scene, that's the only other thing I've been playing, and I've played it twice. We talked about it a little bit, but that Dragon Cancer came out. I don't have a lot to say about it other than getting drunk and then playing it helps because that was hitting me way harder emotionally when I was drunk than when I was sober. Um, so far, I'm not all the way through it. It's that typical thing where it is a really good, and it is a really touching story. The way I put it on Twitter, and way I'll probably put it in the review, so I'm spoiling all of that right here, is it's like that answering machine scene from The Walking Dead episode, season 1, episode 1, the Telltale games. If you remember that, it's like that scene, but it just doesn't fucking stop. It just keeps going. Um, and I think what reminds me of that is you get a lot of the story as you're, going through the world. The little checkpoints or whatever will be your cell phone, and you're checking like voicemails from your wife. So she's calling with like, "Oh, I booked that doctor's appointment. We're going in tomorrow, and hopefully it's nothing. They say they think it's just," and so it keeps going as that as, it's no secret the story is about a couple whose kid has cancer. So it goes bad, and listening to these voicemails, and they do a good job. It's something that the developer, we talked about it last week. I thought it was based on a story of somebody. No, the developer themselves went through this. They had it's based on a very personal experience, which is how I think they nailed those phone calls so well. What sucks is that so far anyway, it's just like, it has the same problems of any of these like artsy type indie games that are trying to tell a deep story, where it's like, oh, the story is really good, I like the visual design, the gameplay sucks. Like they'll throw little like mini games at you. One of them you're racing around in a circuit in like a wagon. They're very surreal. Like a lot of the stuff's not like hyper realistic by any means, but it's like it turns into almost like they're going for like a little Mario Kart thing where you're racing around the halls and you're collecting like fruit and stuff, and it controls like crap. You basically just bounce from here to there, and it's just not fun. And then you get to the end of it, and they do something that was kind of neat. I won't spoil it, but that all of a sudden you're like, oh no, that feels like shit. But playing it itself is not fun. The story's good, and it's one of those things that I struggle with because it's like it's a good story and it's an important story, but did it have to be a game? Like they could have probably just made it like a interactive movie or something and got the same point across without having to put up with these sometimes very frustrating mini games.
Yeah, like that's kind of it's not the same thing as saying like, telling like trying to tell a game what it should be, but there is that kind of thing of like everything you do to try to make this a game makes the overall product worse.
Right.
Um, and and that's kind of the vibe I got from it. Like this, I'm probably never gonna play it just because I really don't need to be more bummed out than I am on a
Yeah, it's
daily basis.
so far anyway. Unless it turns out that the kid actually like becomes an invincible like healing supernatural force, which I don't think it does. It's not setting itself up to be a happy game, and it's not happy so far. But
Yeah, but the vibe I got from it was like this was an incredibly important, incredibly personal story that might not have needed to be a game.
right.
It's and hey, whatever, you
Well,
take you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but it
it's
just
kind of
strikes me as something that didn't quite work.
frustrating to me because a lot of these things I don't know the developmental backstory of the team behind that Dragon Cancer. Shut up, phone. Colorado. I don't know anybody from Colorado. Um, I don't know the developmental
Colorado.
background of it, but a lot of these games that come out in this space are from people that worked in like AAA or that's what they did for a living, and then they decided they want to tell their own personal story and we're going to make a game, and that's great. I think that's I mean it's almost cliche now, but it's a good cliche. But it's like if you've made games before in a professional capacity, why the fuck are your indie games like no fun to play? Like it's like you've never designed gameplay before. Like I don't know. So and again, I don't want to be overly harsh on it, but it is what it is. If you hate those artsy like indie games that play like crap but tell a good story, you're gonna hate that Dragon Cancer. I mean, it's not fun to play. There's nothing about the gameplay itself that's like, wow, that's neat that they did this. But the story itself,
It's not one of those types of games that it's not like there's barely any gameplay in it. Like it tries to put gameplay in it and it doesn't work. And so
it's every scene that you go to or chapter or however you want to say it's laid out will put you through some kind of little mini game interactive thing first, and then that'll unlock the next part of the story that's almost more automated, and it's like you're enduring the gameplay to get to the other sections. And
yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, it's a game that very much the first time I played it, it was just I downloaded it, just started playing it, and I was like, eh. The second time I played it, I had been drinking a bit, not like slosh, falling out of my chair drunk, but there was definitely a good buzz going on, and I don't know if it had to do with that or if it's just because I'm into the more meaty part of the story. But second time, it really was getting to me a lot more, and it got to the point where it's not a really long game, and I probably could have finished it that night, but I couldn't take any more at that point. It's like, shit, I've had enough of this for tonight. I'm going to stop here. So it can be relatively powerful, but. And I know a lot of people have actually not played it specifically because they've gone through some of these things either themselves or through friends. And I get that, but at the same time, I would hope that all of us have the basic human empathy to understand how shitty it is for somebody's kid to die in front of them slowly of something like cancer, or quickly for that matter. I mean, it's not like a kid dying is a life lesson that we need to teach people is bad, but it does certainly have you experience it. So I don't know. It's a thing. I haven't got to play Tharsis yet, and that's the one that everybody seems to love. But really, that's all I've been playing.
Currently playing on the Njoystic podcast.
Why didn't we start with that? I'm gonna pull that soundbite and just play it every week now. I liked it.
Right.
It sounded very radio. In fact, you should do that voice all the time.
I've been playing Dark Souls 2.
I hope to be streaming on Sunday. Which is half a joke and half true. I probably
we have any news. I don't think we have any news to talk about unless you do.
Not really.
So
outside of the world
we can.
Yeah, say outside of the world of gaming, Star Wars got pushed back to Christmas of next year. The next episode, which was funny because everybody was like, "Oh, it's disappointing," but I get it. It'll probably be better. I thought it was already supposed to come out next winter,
Yeah.
not next summer. So I was like, "Oh, well, now I'm right. I was wrong for a little bit."
Yeah, I thought it was summer. So,
It was until today they officially
but I'm
announced
not.
it.
Yeah, but
Comes out when it comes out.
I'm not too bummed about it. Like I don't go to the movies that much. Oh, did you hear about this Mortal Kombat XL shit?
Uh-uh.
This is I'm trying to decide if I think this is a little fucked. So Mortal Kombat X is re-releasing with all the DLC. They're calling it Mortal Kombat XL. I don't know why. Seems stupid, but and I'm pretty sure that's a Roman numeral value.
No, it's extra large.
Well, I know that's what they're trying for, but like I think XL actually does have like a numerical value that Mortal Kombat will probably hit in the next 3 years. But they're re-releasing all the DLC with it, and they're fixing the online code stuff, which it wasn't bad in Mortal Kombat X, but they're polishing it up. But you have to buy this new version to get the benefits of that. Like they're not fixing the online code for the original game. You have to buy this new version for $60 with the DLC to get the improved online experience. And like it doesn't change my opinion. I'm not going to buy it anyway for that, but it does send sort of the message that like the original game you bought was a fucking beta test.
Yeah, or like we admit it was broken, but instead of fixing it, just buy it again. Like I would almost think if you're going to do that, go ahead and call it the next Mortal Kombat and make some other changes to it to justify that and just be like, here. I mean,
yeah,
it's almost semantics, but it would make it seem better.
Well, yeah, I mean,
except for I assume that they'll be. You say it gets the improved tweaks. Will it still be compatible though? Like, can you still play against people that have the original version?
I don't see how. If the original X players are not going to get the benefits, I don't see how you could connect it. Maybe it will be, but I still think that's fucked. Like if there's no way to, like there should be a way for like people who bought the original game to get an full, at least like Street Fighter 4 like had like a million updates, but there was always an affordable way to make that
well
update.
That's what I was going to say. Like even if you have to buy the new version, like give it to them for $15-20 if you already have 10. Like
yeah, like and instead like you have to pay the full 60 and buy the game again because you were just testing it out while they figured out what the fuck they were doing, I guess. This is all going on the assumption that I trust them to fucking fix that goddamn online code at all, which I don't. They should have done that from Mortal Kombat 9 to X. Like X should have been more polished because at that point they should have known what they were doing more. Like I said, it doesn't affect me personally because I wouldn't buy it anyway. But I think that's really fucked. Like just to charge that much for an update when people have already bought your game, like that's Destiny levels of like bullshit.
Damn you, Ed Boon. I think he's still connected to that game. I think he'll always be connected to Mortal Kombat. But
yeah, he's the one in charge of it all. So.
Yeah, I couldn't. People like retire or quit or move to other things so often. But I thought he was still there. I wanted to blame, yell at David Scott Jaffe because I just kind of miss that. Remember the first 5 episodes of our podcast 4.5 years ago was all me bitching about him. And then he is so toned himself down or something. I saw him tweet something today. I'm like, oh yeah, kind of forgot about that guy. He doesn't bug me at all anymore, but it was funny.
I unfollowed him a while ago. Just because it is that thing where he wasn't being obnoxious, but he was still saying shit I disagreed with.
Yeah.
And it's well, now I can't even really get mad at you because now you're just politely expressing your opinion.
Yeah, bastard.
And it's that's not the fun of Twitter. The fun of Twitter is getting unnecessarily outraged at little shit that has no real meaning on your day-to-day life.
Yeah, and maybe it's just I follow so many more people now that I just don't see his tweets like I used to. But I don't remember him in even relatively recent history even really tweeting about opinion and stuff anymore. Anytime I do see him, he's talking about that. I think it's called Drawn to Death, whatever the weird stylized first-person shooter thing
That is something I've noticed. Like I think he did kind of fall off the social media sphere when that game development really started picking up.
Yeah, and maybe it's just
like,
he's
once I
so
got
busy
announced,
developing.
I haven't
I don't
heard
know.
anything from him.
But anyway, yeah, if we want to try to fire up Move or Die, this could be very, very awkward here because we've never done this going straight from a live show into a video game, and we haven't played Move or Die. We've each played it individually, but not cooperatively. Well, not cooperative, whatever, in the same match. So this might be a little awkward, but we're going to try to jump into this here.
Might as well. We're out of shit to talk about. If you just wanted the regular show, that was it. See you later.
Yeah, and you can probably hear. Can you hear my game over the Skype call?
No.
Good, because that would be really bad. So I'll
I
flip
don't.
over
If
here.
you have headphones on, that shouldn't be remotely an issue.
This is a really, really loud game.
We'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna turn my webcam off and try to get this set up then. So bye to my pretty face.
But your voice will still be here forever and always. All right.
That feels so much better. It's like the old days. My horrible face is safely tucked away from the world. So, Move or Die. I thought I played 11 minutes of this game. I've only played 5, apparently.
Yeah, I meant to look at that too. I was talking about it when we were talking about Dragon's Dogma. It turns out I've only played 3 hours of Dragon's Dogma, so that was way overestimating how much time I put into it. Move or Die. I've got. It says 41 minutes. I don't think I played that much. I think I must have left it running or something. Play with friends. I don't see any friends yet. But
Wow, that is loud.
yeah, I had to go into the options and turn the volume down. Hopefully for the stream it's okay.
So they make it as easy as 1, 2, 3.
I didn't want to be like screaming at you over the game.
Which wouldn't make sense. It would just come out on the stream like, Ben!
Well, and I probably, if it goes... Anyway, I started to describe this game. It's a like a mini-game based multiplayer competitive platformer, I guess would be how to put it. You go into rounds. Each round has a different objective. It's just kind of like almost like a roulette wheel of it'll pick a random one out of the playlist. And whoever wins gets X amount of points. Second place gets some points. And then it's like the first 25 points wins. It's kind of interesting. The games tend to be relatively fast-paced. There's an okay variety of mini games. You unlock more as you go. Neither me or Ben have played enough to like have a bunch of stuff unlocked. Right. You also unlock different characters, so there's like those unlockables to play for.
They're calling it the friendship ruining game here on the title screen. So.
Play with.
So and me and you have never had a strong friendship. So,
no.
So this will be. No. I think we'll probably hit. We'll probably start the game and immediately hate each other.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm hoping, because it's that kind of game where you can. The mini games are set up to where a lot of them has to do with screwing over the other players.
Right.
I don't see anything. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, this is technically early access. It's supposed to come out tomorrow. So there's probably, hopefully, like a final version in the chute ready to be released here in a few hours. I don't know if when I go to...
Play with friends. I just see a blank.
There is a... Oh, nope, there it went. I'm going to try to... Can I start a server? There's a server browser. Yeah, I'm going to host a server. Okay, so that goes by... Whatever. I hosted a server. Hopefully you can see it if you go to server browser.
Browser. I can't see anything. Can you do like the...
Yeah, let me see if I can do the Steam thing where you... What is it? Control tab?
This is on an offline mode, so this might be...
That might be a problem.
Yeah. Why am I on offline mode? It doesn't... I'm not on like Steam. I'm online.
Friends.
It says you're not online. Oh, great. This is cool. Steam servers are down for maintenance.
Good fucking timing, Steam.
Oh, we should have done it first.
Yeah. It's weird though, because I can see some of my friends online, but it does show you offline to me.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to reset Steam.
Yeah,
It's fucking annoying. God, dude. Like, you can't just say they're offline. You gotta, like, give people warning. They're planning shit. We have a show to do. We are professional broadcasters. I spent $100 on this mic.
I'm going to reset my Steam too, so you all probably will see a black screen for a second on the stream. That's what. Well, it's not black. It's got our Njoycast show logo wordies in the background.
Yeah, this is... Normally it signs in, like, immediately.
Everybody... I've been advertising this all day, so people were like, well, fuck that. We can't let them...
Crash the servers. Crash them. Yeah, it's not letting me. It's just stuck on the login now.
Oh, well, I gotta log back in. It's just you. It must be like the West Coast Steam servers.
The West Coast offense.
It's you Washington people.
This is annoying as fuck. Like, the one time I need Steam to work for this shit.
There's a mod manager. I'm going to just go through this menu system while we're messing around. There's probably nothing you can do. Steam's down, Steam's down. We can write an angry tweet to Steam and say, hey, get your shit together.
Yeah. I'm checking, like, the Steam outage stuff. Looks like a lot of people it's down for. Like, this just happened. Oh my god. It's probably because Mover Die's a pile of shit and they don't want us to tell people that.
Yeah, they're like, no, we need people to buy this. See,
I'm a little annoyed that it's not letting me, like, just log in, though.
I was worried when I signed out of Steam that I wouldn't get back in, but I did with relative ease. I'm not finding any other players, but probably because the player base for this is likely very small right now. And then if half of Steam can't get it into Steam, it's good timing all around.
Yeah. This might not work out.
No, which is funny because
it won't let me start up unless in offline mode.
It's funny too because the technical side that I was worried about seems to be fine with the stream. It transitioned to picked up the game fine. I was able to start the game after OBS was already running and all that. I'm like, oh, this is going well. Nope.
Why would your stream time, like your downtime, be a fucking random Wednesday afternoon?
I'm assuming it wasn't on purpose.
Well, they said maintenance.
Oh, so. That's true. Well, but it could be emergency maintenance. Oh.
Well, I think we're fucked on this one, I'm afraid. Maybe we can play it another time.
Yep.
Well, I guess that's the show this week.
Yeah, I mean, if we have other stuff to talk about, we can flip back over to regular old podcast show.
I don't think I have anything, though. If you have some.
No, not really. And my door's wide open right now because my dog decided to come back in. She had to go out right at the end of the show, and it's like 10 degrees outside, so.
Fair enough.
I suppose we can call it a show. I'll leave it on this blank Njoycast show screen, so my ugly face doesn't come back.
We will stream this at some point. It's just...
It might be better next week when it's actually live. Hopefully we'll have more people, because that's one of the things with the game we were talking off air. When I played it, I played online, but I never got into a game with more than one other person. And you can fill out it's 4-player, each arena is only up to 4 players, and you can fill it out with AI. But the player base seems really small right now, but that makes sense if it's in early access. So we'll try this again in the near future. And if not this, there's other things. I'd like to start doing more game streaming where we're both in a game, like we did once with Resident Evil, which was also excruciatingly painful on stream, getting that set up.
Right.
But
well, I think we did it once, and then we tried to do it again, and I couldn't get it to fucking work.
Well, the very first time, remember, we couldn't figure out how to fucking play online on Resident Evil because it was such a convoluted...
Because it's stupid.
Right. And then it worked, and then the next time we tried it wouldn't work, and then we said, fuck it. But but anyway, so, yeah.
There will be more streaming content going forward. Is Double Dragon Neon co-op?
I don't know. I don't have it on PC, though.
Oh, I got it on a Humble Bundle. I remember you liked that game.
I liked it a lot. I like it a lot.
So.
Mostly on that, though, it was one of those games that I loved the aesthetic. I loved the music.
You loved punching people.
Yeah, the game itself, I mean, it was Double Dragon, which isn't good or bad. There was some modernization to it as far as, like, collecting move upgrades and stuff, but... Yeah, that was a cool game. I'll have to watch for it to go on sale. And I think we have some other stuff. And I know there's a lot of the times there's these little indie games like Move or Die that come along. And some of them, I'm bad about paying attention to them, but there's some really cool ones and a lot of them have multiplayer. So we'll have stuff. And Ben will have his Dark Souls 2 streams.
Those are just sort of, I can't predict when those will be up, but... like I said, I do want to keep playing that game a lot. So anytime I can, those are late night streams. Late night with Ben.
The easiest way to find them is to follow Ben on Twitter at BPMatlock. I want to say your Twitch channel is at Adentai?
No, it's Mick Bisquick.
Ah, that's right. Just like it sounds, too.
Yep.
Keep an eye on at Njoycast on Twitter for stuff. Mostly our streams go up there too, and anytime we actually publish something, you'll see it there. You can follow my inane rant. I never shut the fuck up on Twitter, so if you want your feed to get spammed by stupidness, follow me at Phaser3D. My streams fall under the Njoystick. Usually they're under that account, and you can find them right here on Twitch at Njoystick.
Farewell.
Farewell. What is it? Good. Fuck it. I don't know the sound of music.